and Crispus Attucks. Booker T. Washington and Crispus Attucks. And the only reason I knew about Crispus Attucks because I was the only black kid in the school, so I had to play Crispus Attucks. So I was Crispus Attucks, the first to die in the American Revolution. Just like in the movies, right? The black guy always died, right? The black guy always died. The first to die. I'm standing on Boston Common. Boom, I'm dead. African American History Month, or Black History Month, has its origins with Carter G. Woodson. How many of you remember Carter G. Woodson? Carter G. Woodson was the second black person to graduate from Harvard University with a PhD in history. He came from a poor family. He came from a family of coal miners. It is difficult for me to conceive of how a black coal miner's son even got to Harvard University at the beginning of the 20th century, where not only Jim Crow was rampant, but the lynching of black people was an everyday occurrence. That's what birthed the NAACP, was lynching. That's what birthed the NAACP. It's just ironic that NAACP birthday falls in Black History Month, February 12th, 1909. That's the national birthday of the NAACP. But NAACP came out of the Niagara movement, and the Niagara movement was a response to the lynching of black people that was going on basically from the period of post-Reconstruction, from the rise of the Klan after the Civil War forward. You know, there was a lynching here in Hackensack. I don't know if y'all know that. But if you look up Professor Larry Green from Seton Hall University, he wrote a paper on it. There was a lynching. See, people think that all this stuff was down south. This is down south.
Up south.
New Jersey is down south.
Up south.
This down south. You had slavery here in 1860. 12,500 registered slaves in the state of New Jersey. The most active slave port wasn't down south, it was New York City. That was the most active slave port. The next most active slave port after that was Perth Amboy, New Jersey, because it was deep water slave port. And the next most active slave port after that was Camden, New Jersey, because it was on the Delaware River, which was a deep water, the big ships could come up there. Slavery was hit. This state as a colony began with slave labor. New Jersey as a colony is founded in 1620. By 1624, there were African slaves in New Jersey, clearing the land, clearing the road, making the roads, laying the foundation. African labor was here from 1624. Enslaved African labor was here. And Jersey's sympathy was very much with the South. Lincoln didn't win New Jersey in 1860, and he didn't win it in 1864. When Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation on September 22nd, 1862, becoming effective January 1st, 1863, the state legislature of New Jersey nullifies Lincoln's power to emancipate slaves in this state. Because this state's political economy was bound up with the political economy of the South. The South had the raw materials, primarily cotton. They sent them up to the textile mills here in Jersey, here in Patterson, and in other places. And that cotton was turned into cloth and sent back down south. People were making money. That's what slavery was about primarily. It was about money. And racism became a rationale for the continued existence of this industry. So slavery was here. The Underground Railroad was all up in here. And a lot of people with sense kept going. They didn't stop in Jersey. They kept going. They ain't stopping in New York either. You saw that movie 12 Years a Slave. Not only were runaways in danger, free black people, and there were free black people here from the beginning. The first Africans don't come as enslaved. They come as indentured servants, just like the white people. You serve 7 years, 14 years, 21 years, you're free. So the first slave, it took about 60 years for slavery to become coterminous with being black. It took about 60 years, so 60 years after 1619, August 23rd, 1619, a Dutch frigate lands in Jamestown, Virginia, with Africans. They were indentured servants. They were not enslaved. But by 60 years later, all of the colonies had laws that made being black coterminous with being enslaved. If your mother was an African, you were born into slavery. In fact, they used the words in perpetuity. The plan was a forever plan. You don't like the stamps? They got these forever stamps now. Slavery was a forever proposition. By 1660, 1640, 1660, that was their plan. It was never going to end. And if you read the Constitution and all these other things that they wrote, you'll find all up in these documents their plans to keep slavery forever and ever. But even free blacks were in danger. They would catch free blacks and sell them back into slavery, like Solomon in 12 Years a Slave. So slavery was here in New Jersey. And then Jim Crow was here in New Jersey. And the people in this room are old enough to remember when most of the movie theaters in New Jersey were segregated.
Crow's Nest.
I'm old enough to remember that. The Lowe's in Newark, the Paramount, the Branford, the Adams, the RKO Proctors, black people had to sit in the mezzanine. Black people could not sit in the mezzanine, had to sit upstairs in the balcony.
Crow's Nest.
In Bamberger's, how many people remember where Bamberger's was? Bamberger's in Newark. Black people could not use the dressing rooms in Bamberger's. Black men could not buy hats in stores that sold hats because a white person did not want to put on a hat that a black man had on his head. One of the first civil rights demonstrations to take place in Newark, I bet you don't even know where it took place at. It wasn't at the courthouse. It wasn't at City Hall. It was at the White Castle. The White Castle. Because black people could buy hamburgers there, but you couldn't work there. Can you imagine that? The same White Castle that's there on Hawthorne and Elizabeth Avenue in Newark, that's where the demonstration was. That's where CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, had their demonstration in Newark. I think it was like 1956. Because White Castle would not hire black people. And you would know that today, right? You think we invented White Castle now, right? But man, in the old days, they skated out. They came out to your car and skates. And they had these trays that they would attach to the cars, Black people couldn't work there. Couldn't work there. Couldn't work at the National Newark and Essex Bank. Couldn't work at the First National State Bank. All we could be in these places for the most part was cleaning people. This was up here. And then, I was one of these bad kids. They had to send down south every summer. They don't do that anymore, do they? But they still do. Y'all still send bad kids down south?
It doesn't work.
My family